Since my last wood floor refinishing fails video was so wildly successful, I've decided to do another one. And lucky for me, there is no shortage of people that have no idea what they're talking about telling you how to sand your floors. I'm going to be targeting specifically people that are telling you how to do it when they have no idea themselves. This video is about taking people down. No, I'm just kidding. It's about showing people how to do it wrong, because you really can learn probably more about how not to do it than how to do it. So I will do a segment at the end of the video recommending a video that is quite popular at the moment, and it doesn't do too bad of a job in explaining how to refinish your floors. But with that said, we'll get into the first video, and that is quick tip floor sanding and using an orbital sander by, I think it's Ali Picked. Let's see what Ali has to say.
So I'm about to refinish this floor in a bedroom in my house. Sorry about the echo, but I removed all the furniture and everything else in this room so the noise just bounces off the walls.
The pain is real. Every time you do a floor sanding video, the room's always empty. It always echoes. It's so difficult to get good sound on that, so he understands. My
first thought was to rent one of those big and bulky large sanding machines. Then I thought, why can't I just use my orbital sander? My second thought was, that'll take forever.
Yes.
But will it?
Yes.
Sand the floor. Sand the floor.
I tested this on a small area of my floor. In less than an hour, I cleared about 30 square feet. I estimate that in about 3 to 4 hours, I can probably have the rest of the room sanded. This is a good time to interrupt this video to bring you an important message. This method will work if you intend to leave the floor natural. In other words, no stain. Depending on the condition of your floor, an orbital sander might not remove enough of the surface to provide a sufficient and even stain tone. In other words, if I stain the wood after using the orbital sander, it has a tendency to look blotchy and uneven. Now, my floor in particular...
That is because he is not actually removing the finish. He's saying that he's sanding the floor and he's removing the finish, but he's not. The vast majority of finishes, when you sand them, they become much lighter and it looks like you're going back to bare wood, but you're not. And the way he's sanding it with the palm sander, any areas that are proud, it might actually go through to the wood. So you're going to have areas of the floor that are sanded through to the wood, which are going to accept a new finish. Most of it is going to still have the finish on it, so that it's not going to accept the new finish. It's going to look patchier. So, I mean, it's good of him to admit that, but really he should draw the proper conclusion that he's not actually sanding the floor properly.
Particular because it's been abused and neglected for so long. Your floor, it might be different. So just test a spot before you decide to stain the whole floor, which is what I did, and I wasn't satisfied. So I left it natural. I'm using 100 grit sandpaper to remove the finish.
Perfect.
I bought this.
So yeah, 100 grit to try and remove the finish. 100 grit orbital palm sander. That is not enough.
I gave it 3 coats using a 4-inch brush. The instructions say that I don't need to sand between the coats as long as it's reapplied before 10 hours, which is exactly what I did. I think the floor looks great. Total cost?
Really? You think the floor looks great? I mean, can you see all that patchiness? Here and here and here. And as I always say, it looks much better on video and in pictures than it does in real life.
So that's my quick tip for today. Using an orbital sander to prepare your wood floor for sanding and finishing.
Can you imagine if, like, after doing this, you know, brutal honesty works on YouTube. If he was like, this is the way I've sanded and refinished my floors, and you know what? This is not the way to do it. I completely screwed up. That would have been great and just as valuable in my opinion.
I wasn't able to sand the floor deep enough to get out all of the scratches. Now I suppose I could have sanded the floor for another 8 hours, but I didn't want to do that. The pros are that I saved myself $100 and I didn't have the inconvenience of lugging that heavy equipment.
He has not saved himself $100, because now it doesn't just look like a worn out floor. It looks like the decks of a ship that have been refinished by a drunken sailor.
The floor looks really good.
No.
It's a definite upgrade.
Why has he's got a close-up on the left side, and he's got a really high, far-away shot on the right side. All of the scratches are still there. He's introduced more patchiness. I bet when he uploaded this, he was thinking, I wonder if anyone's ever going to call me out on this, because this looks absolutely horrendous.
And thanks for watching Ali Picked and today's quick tip.
Cheers, Ali. Thanks a lot. Okay, next up we have how to sand, stain and seal old floorboards by Build with A&E. This video is a little bit worse, and that is because the guy that's doing the sanding actually is supposed to know what he's doing. He has a floor sanding company, and what he does in this video really is not good. Let's take a look.
So when we first got in here, these floorboards were in a pretty sorry state, but with a bit of love and attention, brought these back to their former glory. So if you'd like to see the entire process, stay tuned and I'll...
Look at that. Can you see those lines across the floor right here? That is not good. You can't see much else, but that's already showing me that there's certain things that haven't been done properly whilst the floor has been sanded. So on the whole, as usual, it looks great on the whole. You know, just look at the whole grand scheme of the room. If you were there, it would be different.
So the next thing to remember is to use the correct nails. So Ollie and Phil are actually using cut clasp nails, which would have been traditionally used in flooring.
This is the one thing I do agree with, and you don't actually see that often, is using proper nails. Cut clasp nails are okay. The other ones are better. I can't remember what they're called. The little L-shaped ones. Those are the ones that properly match, but sometimes you can't get them.
Go using some ring shank nails or some screws, because once you've sanded the floor down, it's going to look really unsightly. So always go with the traditional methods.
We are using a LACQUER Hummel sander because it's the most robust, and I think if you have a look at the floor, you'll be able to see that it's quite...
So, rule number one, don't sand directly across the boards like that. In my opinion, especially when the floor is completely uneven, which this floor is. There are people who are very good at sanding floors who disagree with me, but they're wrong, so that's fine.
Rustic, so we're going to sand it across the grain to get a nice level, then along the grain to get it all smoothed out, and then we'll go down through the grades until we get to 150 grit, which is smooth for a floor, and then we're going to stain it with a walnut.
So already you can see scratch marks from going across the boards that are still in the surface. But then the other elephant in the room is, why is he rolling the stain without a pole? Like, why would you break your back instead of just putting a pole on it and rolling it that way? Very, very strange.
Stain it with a walnut colour. Grits we're using range from a 24 grit, which is really quite aggressive.
It's Carbosan. Carbosan are not very... They're pretty good abrasives.
To start off with, down to say 150 grit finish, which is a really nice smooth. And the process is just...
So I just want you to... Just remember that this video is called How to Sand, Stain and Seal Old Floorboards. So we're about to get the real lowdown here and find out exactly how we really sand these boards. Right, let's hear it.
Simple old-fashioned sanding, sanding, sanding.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. That's all I've got to do. Just sanding, sanding, sanding across the boards.
How often do you have to change them around?
It just depends on what you've gone into on the floor. Sometimes, you know, you can get the whole floor done with one on the first sort of cut.
I have to admit, this floor looks like a nightmare. I probably wouldn't take this job on. Just it doesn't look fun to sand. It's never fun when you're spending like a whole day just trying to get it flat and clean. And you've got lots of broken boards and chips everywhere, and after you've put so much hard work and effort into it, it still looks a little bit naff. To be fair, I think this floor could have looked really good if it was done well.
So yeah, I think we'll probably use about 3 for this first cut, and then what we do is, because we're going across with a sort of middle cut, we go along with a deeper cut. So the deeper cut takes out the scratches that you're putting across it.
Just looking at that floor looks like, ugh, it's not a job. It's not a fun job, that. Oh, I am not jealous of that. Oh my God. So it looks like they've made a mix, a filler mix with a very coarse dust, which makes it look very blotchy like that. Ideally you want to make your filler with quite a fine dust, like 80 grit or above, but they haven't vacuumed the floor. They're filling directly on top of all the crap that's on the floor. For one thing, if you've got dust in these gaps when you fill them, the filler might not bond very well, and therefore as soon as you because you have to sand the filler off the surface once you filled it, as soon as you start filling it and the sander goes over it, it can just suck that filler straight back out. So you've got to hoover the floor first before you fill it. That looks atrocious. Oh, look at that, it looks terrible.
With the water, and so transferring from the bottle to the tray that we'll use it for can be a bit of a trial, but otherwise very, very good stuff. Dries
It's like he's never done it before.
So guys, hopefully you enjoyed that video, and hopefully you've now realised that with a bit of love, care and attention and...
Look, I can see just by his feet here, the way that because they put a fairly glossy finish down, you can see you've got scratches going across the board, and then you've got scratches that are going with the grain of the board that have not been smoothed out sufficiently. So it's been really badly sanded, basically.
Some serious machinery, you can turn any floorboards into something as beautiful as these.
Oh yeah,
so,
it's stunning.
As usual, if you've liked this video, please make sure you like, comment and subscribe. You've been watching me, John.
Did you just say like, comment and unsubscribe?
Please make sure you like, comment and subscribe. You've been watching me,
John
and John from Floor Sand Solutions. Until next time.
Right, I was trying to find these videos to do another hardwood floor refinishing fails video, but in searching for them and trying to come up with videos that I can use, I didn't actually see this one, but now I'm seeing here there's this one. So, and I don't know, this might go well. We'll see. It says it's sanding hardwood floors tutorial how to do it yourself. Okay, so he's going to teach us how to do it ourselves. That's great. And it says, I think it says Sal Flores. I can't actually see very well because of the way this system works. So let's have a look.
Before we start the video, let's jump to the intro.
Now we're seeing like clips of them doing all sorts of other work around the house, so we know that they're at the very least not specialists in floor sanding.
This is a build paper.
What's that?
A build.
He's watching it looks like maybe he's watching a video on how to refinish a floor, like whilst he's recording a video on how to refinish a floor.
Paper. The way you install this is just lift the guard and slide the paper. Then there you go. As soon as you grab the lever, the sandpaper starts doing its work. So just let the machine do the work. Right where you get to the edge, lift the lever, take the machine back.
Okay, so you don't need to walk all the way back. You drop the machine down as you're walking backwards. Usually it's actually that's a more powerful pass than the walking forward pass. So it's going to take twice as long to sand a floor doing it that way than it is by going forward and backwards. You see how I save you time here? That's rental costs, you know, that's stress. Could have saved you so much time just by letting you know these little tips.
And do it again. Just follow the direction.
And then look, so he's overlapped by 50%, which means that now this line here is roughly halfway across the drum here, which is like that's how you're supposed to do it. I mean, it can vary in different situations, but roughly that's how you do it. So he knows that much.
Take his time.
Now, as he's got to the end of the room, it's crept over now, and he's only overlapping maybe about 20%. And you see, so you can see there how he's moved over. It's left this strip that hasn't been sanded.
And as you can see, the machine
Back here, you see that? See that? Because he was overlapping properly here, he's connected the two sanding strips together properly, and because he's drifted over, it's now left that little gap. I've just realised I could probably teach so much better by critiquing other people's videos than than demonstrating myself, because I don't think to make mistakes. So
the machine doesn't go all the way to the wall, because that's where the handle and where myself is, and also.
So that's massive amounts of the old finish left on the surface. You really want to get it pretty much perfectly clean with the first cut.
And again, just let the machine do the work. Don't try to push it, don't try to hold it.
Oh, that was a long wait there. He stopped long before he pulled that up.
And this is a 60.
You see, yeah, 60 grit paper. It's a very good example of really when you should drop down to a 36.
Hold the color of the floor. Always keep an eye on the.
He's not doing the 50-50 overlap.
Okay. You gotta empty the bag.
See,
so,
the floor could have been much cleaner if he was doing that 50-50 overlap.
This is what we're doing. At the end, the only thing you gotta do is clean the floor with water and let it dry.
No, you don't need to clean the floor. What you need to do is sand off all these dark bits that you've left in the floor. That's what you need to do. Come on, give us a close-up shot. Let's see how bad this looks. How funny, I did not find this this video previously. Just whilst I was searching for the videos that I had listed that I wanted to do, I saw this video and it's a how-to, and I was like, I bet it's crap.
Please watch the next video where I'm gonna show you how to apply the polyurethane.
Oh, okay, cool. We've got to see that. Right, next video. Let's do this. Right, so I managed to find the part 2, and it looks like he's already put the finish on, or at least he's put the primer on. It's like, so he's actually not teaching you to do it. It says learn to apply polyurethane. Maybe that's just a plea. So please learn to do this, because I didn't.
Okay, guys, for those who don't know, this is the part 2.
Look, you could those stains that you can see there, and it's darker the closer you get to the edge of the board. That's where the edges of the boards are slightly sunken, and then it just kind of lightens as it goes into the center of the board. That can easily be sanded out. It just needed a little bit more like a tiny bit more sanding, you know, an extra pass with the first grit, and that would have been clean.
Of the video of how to redo your hardwood flooring. Okay, here's the applicator.
Lamb skin, not lamb's wool, lamb skin. It's like a squeegee.
We're gonna clean.
This is actually a good idea. Just getting a bit of tape and trying to remove loose fibres before you apply the finish. That way you're more likely to get a cleaner coat on the final, a cleaner finish on the final.
You don't want to leave it thick because you're going to create bubbles on the floor. Okay, so we're going to do this.
Okay, so I can't actually comment on lamb's wool appliques that much because I've never really used them. So, but they are a good applicator. They're a great way of applying lacquer. You can get a good smooth finish out of it. The interesting thing is that most professionals these days, even people that are really good with lamb's wool applicators or T-bars, they're all moving to using rollers. And yet rollers are what most people are familiar with, and no one wants to use them. Like in a lot of videos I've seen recently, there's lots of people that have never done it before and they're using a T-bar. It's fairly difficult to use, especially for a beginner, whereas conceptually a roller you kind of understand. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just because I'm so used to rollers, but one thing that is strange is that he has started so far out in the room, like he's doing a really wide strip, and also I just don't think you should pour the lacquer straight onto the floor like that, especially with the first coat. The first coat can be more temperamental.
make sure to cover every spot. I'm gonna use this pole. Let's use mostly to sand the spackle, and I'm gonna use this 150 grit.
So when I first started sanding, we used to rub down coats using one of these, and like they always flip over and bang the floor. Like, yeah, we didn't do it properly when I first started doing floors. Yes, do the entire floor, but do it methodically, not the way he's doing it, because you're going to lose track of where you have been and where you haven't been.
So Theodore is already doing.
Just start close to the wall. I don't understand why you start so far away.
I'm gonna start spreading
Or it closer to the wall.
If you're missing a spot,
That looks like he's applying it really
pour a
thin.
little bit at a time. Don't pour a lot. You don't want to end up with too much poly
Oh, he's topping it up. That's
on
good.
the floor because it's gonna be hard to spread.
He's not terrible, this guy.
And remember, that
Except
also
you can see a
cause
drum mark in the
bubbles
reflection
on
there.
the floor. So the room is looking really nice now.
The fact that he was just pushing so hard on it to spread it like that shows me that he's not got enough on there. He's doing a really thin coat.
Make sure to spread it.
Oh, there's a juicy drum mark there. That is a banger. That is a gorgeous drum mark. That is an exemplary drum mark. That is an unbelievable drum mark.
But this is the ending result. I hope you like this video. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you for watching.
It's not too bad. It's not terrible. As I said, I would recommend a video that I think is a pretty good video, and it is very popular. I think it's only been out a year. He's got 500,000 views, so I don't think this is too bad. And rather than just promoting my own videos, because I am a professional floor sander and I have been for 18 years, and that's what my channel is all about. But instead of promoting my own channel, which is fairly obvious, I'll recommend this video.
Well, hello there. Brent here, the Bring Your Own Tools, and on today's episode, if you want to learn how to refinish hardwood floors to their original glory, from this to this, well, keep on watching.
I'm not sure if I said the name of this video. It's Refinishing Hardwood Floors Start to Finish by BYOT, which I think stands for Bring Your Own Tools.
Come over for free and fix these hardwood floors for you, just to say a big, huge thank you for all the amazing memories that we've created at this amazing cabin. Yes, this type of drum sander. Well, there's a lot of different types of walk-behind drum sanders, but something that's extremely substantial like this is definitely needed on hardwood floor restoration projects.
Now, if you haven't used a drum sander before, realize that this can be a very aggressive machine. It can take off copious amounts of material very quickly, so if you're trying to make sure you're not damaging your floor, and you haven't used a machine like this before, I would always highly suggest using a higher grit. So,
to be honest, in my opinion, it's not that aggressive. Those machines are not as aggressive as the professional machines, and those abrasives are not very good abrasives. And it's, as long as you've got the motion of the machine right, you know, you're gonna still struggle to get the finish off sometimes with a 36 grit. It's not like it's planing the surface off.
More like a 100 or 120 before you start using something super aggressive like a 36.
So now, Brent, if you're watching this, please comment on my video and tell me if you watched my videos, including this video here, where I make the recommendation at the end of the video that before you actually start using the machine, you put on a 120 grit and you practice the motion of moving forward before you drop down the drum and then lifting up the drum before you stop. Brent, if you're watching, please comment and I will pin it to the top of the comments. And please don't copyright strike me. Thank you.
Yeah, much better to screw up on 120 than 36, I assure you. Let's test it out.
Good idea, that.
This is a really key element to make sure you don't have any drum marks at the end of your project, because that's not what anyone wants.
I forgive you, Brent, with that smooth
You also
voice.
have to keep in mind that you don't want to rush any of the sanding process by avoiding...
As I said, this is a great video, so if you want to check it out, although there are a few issues with this floor, which you can see here, here, and here. Although it's only very slight on this floor, but it's the exact same problem that we saw here and here. Well, in this video here, I explain why you're pretty much guaranteed to make the exact same mistake, unless you make this one easy but kind of counterintuitive adjustment. And the difference is huge. Check it out.